question was from Robin, on a global level, are a number of these reprocessing and recycling types of operations good? And done properly, the answer is yes. So here are a couple of pieces that I'll offer in response to that. The first is that in Europe, for example, there are a growing number of producer take-back laws, where if you manufacture something, you've got to be responsible for taking it back and reprocessing it. The question then will still remain, where is the reprocessing facility going to be located, and how will it be regulated? Because if all that you're doing is ending up concentrating all the pollution in one place, then that defeats the purpose. I think, by analogy, I think another thing that needs to get addressed is to think about how do the burdens related to this get shared. And this is, we did some work a couple of years ago with and I heard about a number of organic farmers in the Hudson Valley who were raising livestock, and they had gotten to the point where they needed a new slaughterhouse because they were over the capacity of the existing slaughterhouse. Now, to locate a slaughterhouse in any community is not a good thing, because those plants are smelly. They produce a whole lot of pollution of various kinds, and the solution that got developed was that there was essentially a slaughterhouse on wheels that went around to different communities. So what would it look like if there was an incinerator on wheels, so that the residents of the wealthier communities, of which there are many in northern New Jersey, might have to take care of some of their own trash that way? I think, I'm not saying that's more sort of at a conceptual level than at a concrete proposal level. Part of it is that how do we start to think about avoiding the concentration of these burdens in the same communities over and over again. You just saw that. So, to see prisons, sewage treatment plants, chemical plants, metals plants, fat rendering plants, all within a half mile, and then right next door a residential neighborhood.
Of course, the bottom line is that we have to reassess our lifestyle.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Simplicity, local, etc.
It also calls into question our consumption patterns as a society. And we have increasingly, as we fight so many of these waste-related industries, we have come to the conclusion that we must fight as a community proactively for zero waste. And zero waste is, it really needs to look at the life cycle, how you produce things without toxics in the first place, how you make producers responsible for some of the products that they're putting out, for a society to use less, to consume less, to waste less. And so, if you don't have to deal with the consequences of that consumption and that production, then you are more than happy to continue on this pattern where we tell people, you can be green, you can continue to consume and live your lifestyle as you always have, as long as it's green. Instead of buying that bag, buy the green bag. Yes. And what I try to infuse in people, and even in my students, is, we will not get out of this problem through consumption. This crisis that we're in, especially that face poor people around the country, around the world, it requires our society to look at ourselves in a different way, to look at our lifestyles in a different way, and to examine the consequences of that, both on the production and on the consumption side. So I don't believe that we can consume our way out of this problem. And it's not just a distribution problem. Yes, what you see here today is a distribution problem, but it's also a problem about, not anyone's backyard. There are things that happen in this society that no one should bear the brunt of. And so we really believe in that,
Is this a recycling?
That's a paper recycling plant. And if you stop right here, you look to your right, that huge stack with the blue and red, that is the garbage incinerator. And there are people in this society that believe that we are going to technologically find our way out, solutions to everything, to every problem. That for garbage, we just, find an incinerator, and the incinerators get fancier and fancier, so we just can keep producing the garbage we want, because there's a way to get rid of it in a very clean manner. And our community has seen firsthand that the lies that are inherent in that no matter how great the technology is, that there's always a price to pay, and it's usually borne by the most vulnerable in our communities and in our societies. And so I don't believe that there's a technological fix to everything. There are some things that you can help alleviate with technology, but they're not going to fix our underlying problems.
about full cost pricing? Find regulations and full cost pricing. If you're going to produce a widget that destroys the health of people in this neighborhood, then you should be paying for that.
No, and that has been talked about for a long time about, making things cost what they really cost to society, The health of our communities, our children have a 1 in 4 rate of asthma. 1 in 4 children in this community have asthma, which means they miss school, their parents miss work. Our community is depressed economically because of the health problems. More people in Newark die from asthma and cardiac deaths related to air pollution than they do from gunshots or violent crimes. And that is a fact that very few people know. You hear about the gunshots and the violence, but you don't hear about the deaths, the silent deaths. People every day die here of asthma attacks. Mostly also because they don't have proficient health care either. So you're talking about people who are already vulnerable economically and socially and that are being asked to also bear the brunt of environmental pollution. So I really believe in my heart that the solutions, we have to dig a little bit deeper than technology and consumption. We have to look at ourselves and how we want, what kind of society we want, and that's why it's important to see the consequences of that. So right here, I told you about the garbage incinerator. The garbage incinerator. Do you want to get out? Or you want to stay?
This is the last place.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why don't we we'll get